Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about on Stop Being Nice to Everyone. Accountability is one of the most misunderstood concepts in leadership and teamwork. Somewhere along the line, we began confusing it with cruelty. We started to believe that holding someone to a standard meant we were being harsh, that calling someone out meant we were being unfair, that expecting more from someone who consistently underdelivers somehow made us the villain in the room. But here's the truth: real leaders understand that accountability isn't about control or punishment. It's about growth. It's about clarity. It's about care. Accountability means you respect someone enough to believe they are capable of more. It means you're willing to have uncomfortable conversations because you refuse to let them settle for less than what they can become. Think about the people in your life who pushed you. The coaches, the mentors, the bosses who didn't let you cut corners or hide behind excuses. Were they cruel, or were they the ones who saw something in you that you didn't even see in yourself? That's what accountability does. It holds up a mirror and forces you to look, not at who you are, but at who you could be. But the moment we stop holding each other accountable, we open the door to mediocrity. We give up excellence for ease. We trade growth for comfort. And the cost, it's far bigger than we realize. Because when you let one person underperform without consequence, you send a silent message to the entire team: standards don't matter here. And that message spreads fast. It infects morale. It kills ambition. It creates a culture where effort becomes optional and excellence becomes the exception, not the rule. Let's be very clear: ignoring underperformance is not kindness. It's not mercy. It's neglect. Because the truth is, most people want to be challenged. They want feedback, even when it's tough. They want to know where they stand, even if it stings. Why? Because deep down, we all crave growth. We want to become something more than we are today. But no one ever grows without friction. No one ever levels up in the absence of tension. So when you avoid the hard conversation, when you tell yourself it's better not to rock the boat, when you convince yourself that silence is the mature option, you're not protecting anyone. You're just delaying the inevitable. That person you're tiptoeing around, they're not getting better. They're just getting further away from the potential they were meant to reach. And here's something else we often forget: accountability isn't just for the one who's underperforming. It's for everyone else on the team who's watching, because they see it. They notice when someone slacks off and nothing happens. They notice when deadlines are missed and no one says a word. They notice when effort is optional and failure is tolerated. And the moment they start to think that effort doesn't matter, that's the moment your culture starts to collapse from within. You don't raise standards by being quiet. You raise standards by making expectations visible, by giving feedback directly, and by demanding better, not because you're mad, but because you believe better is possible. That's not cruelty. That's leadership. That's love. Because the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And there's nothing more indifferent than watching someone underachieve and doing absolutely nothing about it. Being accountable and asking others to be is one of the highest forms of respect. It's a declaration that says, I believe in you enough to tell you the truth. I care about you enough to risk being misunderstood. I see the gap between where you are and where you could be, and I'm not going to stand by and pretend that gap doesn't exist. There's a dangerous misunderstanding in the way we interact with people, especially in teams, leadership, and personal relationships. We confuse being nice with being kind. We use the words interchangeably as if they mean the same thing, but they don't. Being nice is often about avoiding discomfort. Being kind is about facing it with integrity. And when you mix the two up, you lose your power, you weaken your influence, and you do more harm than good. Being nice means you nod in agreement when you should be speaking up. It means you say. It's okay when it's absolutely not. It means you avoid confrontation because you don't want to make someone feel bad. But what you're really doing is choosing comfort over honesty. You're protecting feelings in the short term while sacrificing potential in the long term. Kindness doesn't work like that. Kindness tells the truth. Kindness says what needs to be said, even if it stings. Kindness understands that sugarcoating the truth may feel good, but it doesn't create growth. Kindness is bold. Kindness is honest. Kindness says, I care enough about you that I'm not going to let you walk around blind to your own behavior. That's the kind of leadership, friendship, and teamwork that actually changes people. Nice people smile and let things slide. Kind people speak up because they believe in accountability. Nice people let excuses pass. Kind people challenge those excuses. Nice people are worried about being liked. Kind people are more concerned about doing what's right. There's a huge difference. And until you understand it, you'll keep playing small. You'll keep allowing dysfunction. You'll keep choosing silence when your voice could make the difference. Think about the people who made the biggest impact on your life, the ones who shaped you, the ones who helped you rise. Were they always agreeable? Were they always soft-spoken and easygoing? Probably not. They challenged you, they corrected you, they pushed you. And maybe you didn't like it in the moment, but later you realized that was real kindness. They didn't do it to tear you down. They did it because they saw what you could be. That's the power of kindness. Being nice can keep the peace, but it rarely transforms people. Kindness shakes things up. It gets uncomfortable. It calls people out with love. And that's why it works, because transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in confrontation when someone finally has the courage to say, this isn't working, or you can do better, or you're letting yourself down. That's not being mean. That's being kind with purpose. If you're always trying to be nice, you might be liked, but you won't be respected. You might avoid conflict, but you won't build anything strong. You might keep people happy, but you'll never help them grow. Nice tries to please everyone. Kind dares to disappoint in service of the greater good. You owe people more than your politeness. You owe them your honesty. You owe them your willingness to lean into hard conversations instead of walking away. You owe them your belief that they can handle the truth and that they're strong enough to change. That's what kindness looks like in real life. And let's be clear, kindness isn't cruel. It's not abrasive. It doesn't humiliate or belittle. It's not loud for the sake of being heard, but it doesn't hide either. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't sugarcoat when someone's performance is slipping or when someone's attitude is affecting the team. It steps in, not out. It speaks up, not down. It addresses, it doesn't avoid. Being nice will earn you approval. Being kind will earn you trust. Being nice gets people to like you. Being kind gets people to grow. When you finally stop confusing the two, you'll stop letting fear drive your decisions. You'll stop enabling the very behaviors that are holding people back. You'll step into a version of leadership, of friendship, of humanity that makes people stronger just by being around you. You'll stop avoiding the truth, and you'll start delivering it with strength, with compassion, and with courage. There comes a moment in every team, every relationship, every organization when silence becomes more dangerous than speaking up. Yet too many people choose comfort over courage. They swallow the words they should have said. They dodge the conversations they should have had. They tell themselves now's not the right time, or maybe it will get better on its own, or worst of all, it's not my place to say anything. But the truth is, if you see something and stay silent, you're part of the problem. Speaking with courage isn't about being loud or confrontational. It's not about dominating a room or embarrassing someone. It's about having the guts to say what needs to be said, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when it might shake the ground a little. Because real change never comes from silence. It comes from the voices that dare to disrupt comfort zones. Comfort tells you to wait. Courage tells you to move. Comfort says, let it slide. It's not that big of a deal. Courage says, if I let this slide, I become complicit. Comfort wants you to be agreeable. Courage demands you be honest. And honesty, real honesty, is uncomfortable. That's why so few people do it. That's why so many cultures rot from the inside, because too many people keep choosing the easy path, the quiet path, the non-confrontational path. But here's what you have to understand. Discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Whether it's personal growth or professional development only happens when someone has the courage to speak into the tension. That uncomfortable performance review, that conversation about attitude, that direct feedback about a missed opportunity or repeated failure. These are the moments that define leadership. These are the conversations that build character. Too often we wait for the perfect words, the perfect setting, the perfect time, and in that waiting we lose the opportunity. We let someone walk further down the wrong road. We let them keep showing up late, keep undermining the team, keep giving half the effort, keep avoiding responsibility because we didn't want to be the bad guy. But courage doesn't care about your comfort, it cares about the truth. And the truth, when delivered with conviction and respect, is the most powerful tool you have. It takes courage to say, I see a problem and I'm not going to ignore it. It takes courage to sit down with someone and say, this isn't personal, but it is important. It takes courage to step into a moment where you might be misunderstood, where someone might push back, where emotions might rise, but you still go there. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because the truth is, silence never protects the people who need help. It only protects the status quo. And the status quo doesn't need protection. It needs disruption. It needs brave voices. It needs leaders who speak up, not because it's easy, but because the alternative is stagnation. And stagnation is the slow death of potential. Every time you speak with courage, you give people a chance to rise. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you shift the culture around you. Every time you open your mouth in a moment where fear says stay quiet, you move one step closer to building something that actually matters. Leadership is not a popularity contest. It's not about collecting admiration or making sure everyone always feels good. Yet so many people step into leadership roles thinking their job is to keep everyone happy. They think if people like them, they're doing it right. That if one is uncomfortable, that must mean the team is healthy. But that's not leadership. That's approval seeking in disguise. And it's a trap, one that will dilute your authority, erode your credibility, and ultimately leave your team weaker, not stronger. Being liked is easy. Say yes often, avoid conflict. Be agreeable. Don't challenge anyone. Keep the mood light and the feedback shallow, but being respected, that takes something deeper. Respect is earned through consistency, through principle, through conviction. It comes when people know that you're not going to flinch when it's time to make the tough call. It comes when they know your values aren't for sale, even when it would be more convenient to compromise them. It comes when they trust that you won't say one thing in a meeting and another behind closed doors. When you lead to be liked, you say what people want to hear. When you lead to be respected, you say what they need to hear. And those two things are rarely the same. Because what people want to hear is easy, familiar, comfortable. What they need to hear, that's where growth lies. That's where accountability begins. That's where the real work happens, and real leaders aren't afraid to go there. The truth is, if you're doing your job as a leader, there will be times when people are frustrated with you. Times when they push back, times when they question your decisions or your tone or your expectations. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you're leading. Because leadership isn't about comfort, it's about alignment. It's about keeping people anchored to a vision even when the waves get rough. Leadership isn't about how many people smile when you walk into the room. It's about how many people grow because you didn't let them stay the same. You don't measure a great leader by how many compliments they receive. You measure them by how many standards they refuse to lower, how many excuses they didn't accept, how many people became sharper, better, stronger under their watch. There's a moment every leader must face when they realize they can't be everyone's favorite person and still lead with integrity. You can either be liked or be effective. Not always, but often enough that the choice becomes real. Will you keep the peace or will you protect the standard? Will you back down to avoid discomfort or will you stand your ground for what's right? This doesn't mean you have to be cold or disconnected. Leadership is rooted in empathy. But empathy doesn't mean avoiding conflict. It means caring enough to enter it. It means you value the person so much that you're willing to risk the relationship to help them grow. That's what separates respected leaders from popular ones. Respected leaders choose what's right, even when it's hard. Even when it means standing alone, even when it costs them approval in the moment. If you chase being liked, you'll water yourself down, you'll make promises you can't keep. You'll let things slide that should be corrected. You'll create a team that feels good but performs poorly. But if you chase being respected, you'll challenge people to rise. You'll earn trust that runs deeper than applause. You'll build a team that may not always agree with you, but they'll follow you because they believe in what you stand for. Because they know you're consistent. Because they've seen you show up not to please, but to lead. We've been taught to treat accountability like punishment. Like it's a negative thing. Like it's about calling someone out to embarrass them, shame them, or put them in their place. But that's a misunderstanding of what accountability truly is. Accountability is not about control. It's not about dominance. It's not about making someone feel small. Real accountability is an act of care. It's what you do when you refuse to let someone settle for less than they're capable of. It's the courageous choice to stand in the gap between potential and performance and say, I won't let you waste what you've been given. The problem is that too many people think holding someone accountable is the same as being hard on them. So they avoid it. They don't want to seem harsh. They don't want to upset the dynamic. They don't want to be the bad guy, but in that hesitation they allow mediocrity. They allow drift. They allow patterns that slowly pull people further and further away from excellence. And that's not kindness. That's not leadership. That's avoidance. True accountability starts from a place of belief. You hold people to a higher standard because you believe they are capable of meeting it. You challenge them because you see what's possible in them. You confront the problem not because it's easy, but because you care enough not to look away. That's what people don't understand. Accountability is love in action. It's discipline that is rooted in hope. It's correction that comes from compassion. Think about a great coach. Do they let their athletes slack off? Do they ignore poor form, missed assignments, or lazy effort? No, they demand more not because they're mean, but because they want the athlete to succeed. They don't care about being liked in the moment. They care about preparing that person to perform when it counts. That's the heart of accountability. It's not about making things easier. It's about making people stronger. If you lead a team, if you guide a family, if you influence anyone at all, then you owe them your honesty. You owe them your courage. You owe them your willingness to say the hard thing when it matters. Accountability isn't a one-time event. It's a culture. It's a pattern. It's built in the little moments when you call out a missed deadline, when you correct a sloppy process, when you confront a toxic attitude. Those moments matter. They send a message. We take this seriously, and we take each other seriously. A culture without accountability becomes chaotic. People stop trying. Standards drop. Trust erodes. Resentment builds. Why? Because people notice when no one is being held to the same expectations. They see the favoritism. They see the silence. They see the lack of consequences. And it creates confusion, frustration, and disengagement. But when accountability is strong, people feel safe. They know what's expected. They know the boundaries. And most importantly, they know that someone has their back enough to tell them the truth. There's a deep power in knowing that someone is watching not to catch you failing, but to catch you slipping and pull you back before you fall. That's what accountability does. It's the steady hand that says, you're off course, let's correct it now. It's the voice that says, this isn't who you are, rise back up. It's the mirror that reflects the gap between intention and behavior. It's the nudge that says, you're better than this. And yes, accountability can be uncomfortable. It can create tension, it can ruffle feathers, but so can growth, so can progress, so can greatness. No one gets better by being left alone in their blind spots. No one improves when feedback is withheld. Accountability is the highest form of respect. It's the way you show someone they matter, not just for what they do, but for who they have the potential to become. It says, I see you. I know you're capable of more. And I'm not going to let you coast when I know there's a fire in you that can still burn brighter. That's what care looks like in action. That's what real leadership sounds like in moments that count. That's what it means to love people enough to tell them the truth, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's risky. There's a dangerous lie circulating under the disguise of kindness. It says that to support someone, you must accept everything they do, validate every choice they make, and never challenge their behavior. That questioning their actions or pushing them to grow is somehow judgmental or cruel. But the truth is, when you constantly excuse weakness, you don't build people, you break them. When you allow someone to stay stuck, underperform, or avoid hard truths, you are not helping them, you are enabling them. And enabling weakness, even in the name of support, is one of the most damaging things you can do to a person's potential. Support isn't silence. Support isn't agreeing with everything someone does. Support isn't watching someone slip and telling them it's okay just because you're afraid to upset them. True support means you care enough to step in. It means you love someone enough to push back. It means you believe in their strength so deeply that you're unwilling to let them live beneath it. Weakness doesn't grow stronger in the dark. It grows stronger when it's allowed to sit comfortably, unquestioned and unchecked. And the more we allow that, the more we destroy the very people we say we care about. We've come to confuse empathy with enabling. Empathy says, I see your pain and I'm here with you. Enabling says, I see your struggle and I'm going to shield you from any responsibility. But here's what gets overlooked: when you take away responsibility, you also take away growth. You rob someone of the very process that could have made them stronger. You step in when you should have stepped back. You defend when you should have demanded. You comfort when you should have challenged. When someone is spiraling, falling into bad habits, losing discipline, or turning away from their potential, the most supportive thing you can do is shine a light on the truth. Let them feel the weight of their choices. Let them wrestle with the consequences. Let them taste the discomfort that comes with underperformance. That's not cruelty, it's love in its most raw and honest form, because only through that friction do people rise. Only through that struggle do they discover what they're really made of. Weakness isn't something to nurture. It's something to confront, not with judgment, but with courage, not with shame, but with clarity. You say, I see more in you than this. I believe in who you could be. And I won't sit back and watch you throw that away. That's support, that's strength. That's leadership. When you lower the bar so someone feels better about staying the same, you're not supporting them, you're suffocating them. You're wrapping them in a blanket of excuses, and eventually that blanket becomes a cage. Letting someone sabotage their own success while you watch in silence. If you say you care about someone, prove it by helping them grow. Prove it by being the one voice that won't sugarcoat. Prove it by standing firm when they want you to bend. Because the truth is, people will thank you more for the pressure that shaped them than the comfort that weakened them. They'll remember the moments you pushed, not the ones you pampered. They'll look back and realize that your strength gave them theirs. When you stop enabling weakness, you start empowering strength. And that's what real support looks like.